Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm very well. Can I just say thank you for being here today. You have been an inspiration to students and staff here at GBS.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say so.
I'm going to dive straight into my question. How long have you been working for GBS for? And tell us a little bit about your role.
So my role here at GBS has been developing the IT technicians team, but also bringing the campuses online. And one of the great inspirations is actually walking around one of the campuses and going,
what is that particular moment or event that's inspired you to go into a career in IT?
I've always had an interest in IT. And from there on, I did A-levels, so working through that. Attempted to do astrophysics at university, but then my mother saw me an advert for students for IT course at a local college.
Okay.
I turned up, interview went, would you finish what you started? The answer was yes. And hey presto, within less than 10 minutes, I was on an IT course doing an HND in computing at what was then Slough College of Higher Education.
Who are your role models or mentors during your early career? And how did they influence your professional development?
In most cases, it would be my father. He had a very challenging childhood and he joined the RAF. He went for pilot training. Unfortunately, he didn't manage that. But what he did manage to do was to get onto the navigations course.
Okay.
He failed it 3 times. But one day he had an epiphany. And suddenly he could do everything.
Oh, wow.
And his career suddenly went on from that. So he became the chief navigation instructor for the RAF. So it's to see and understand the struggles that he overcome, to actually have that within the family, to never ever quit.
Oh, that is powerful. So can you share a story about a challenging moment in your career where inspired to push through and succeed?
I was doing an audit for a particular institution. And things were not going well in any way, shape or form. And there were challenges in and around the data that was being presented.
Yes.
We were not covered in the way that we should.
Yes.
But ultimately, you have to be true to yourself and make sure that you're presenting things correctly, toe the line, or you're actually going to stand by your decisions and what you did in order to move things forward, and then be true to yourself, because you're the ones who have to live with your decision. And that was that moment that brought that home. And it's something that I've always thought, if there's something I believe in, I'm not going to be persuaded just because it's advantageous to somebody else. I must be true to what I believe is right and then follow that through.
Good ethics. And I'm going to come into that. So what has influenced your leadership style the most? And what key lessons have you learned from them?
There are many, many leadership styles. How would you like to be treated if it's a difficult situation? You can be hard, but you can be fair. What you don't want to be is inconsistent. From what I've seen, I've been very lucky to work with some very good bosses, and I've been unfortunate to work with some very bad bosses. And I think in some respects, you learn more from working for someone who really doesn't know what they're doing as you do from someone who does know what they're doing. Because in that respect, you don't really notice what they do. It's like IT. If the wind blows and blows the window in, it's the wind's fault. If someone spills coffee on a keyboard, it's IT fault. And so there are many different ways that you can view situations. And I think you can learn as much from the bad experiences as you do from the good experiences. And that has influenced much of my management style, to try and bring people with me rather than push them.
It just links me to our second question. How have you stayed motivated in your current role, especially during challenging times?
But I think that the most inspirational part is almost just even what we're doing now. Because of what we've built, you are able to do what just knowing that that infrastructure on which it is built in most parts works 99% of the time. And if it doesn't, we know about it. But essentially is there quietly in the background. If everything is going well, you don't know we're here. Just quietly going about the business. We onboard about 40 members of staff every month, a small company, but yet it works, enabling everybody to make GBS such a great business as it is at the moment.
What advice would you give to our students who are inspired to pursue a career in IT like yourself?
The one bit of advice I would give any student that is looking at IT, go get yourself a testing qualification. The reason being is that software, hardware, all those processes change. But the one thing that doesn't is the need to test systems. The world changes, and I know this from personal experience. And the technology that you're using is no longer the current flavor. If you've got a testing qualification, you can test almost anything. It gives you an opportunity to have a fallback career whilst you pursue what it is that you love to do within the IT business.
Oh, that's very interesting. I mean, linking that to your talk last week at the Infotech. I'm going to bring that at the Infotech. And you were talking about your your book.
As part of my career,
Yes.
I wasn't always in IT.
Okay.
I started off in IT, then September 11th came, and I was working in the city, and suddenly it went from 10 people applying for a job to 100 people applying for the job. The software that I was using no longer became the main. So I talk from experience from testing qualifications. And I decided, well, actually, if I wanted to go back on, I needed to go back to school. And so I went back to school to do my master's degree, because remember, I said an HND. I had an HND with distinction. And at that time, no one was looking for anybody who didn't have a degree.
Okay.
So whilst I was studying for my master's, I saw a part-time job come up. I applied on a Tuesday. My first session was on a Thursday, and my second ever lesson was an Ofsted inspection. But I managed within 4 years to work my way up to head of school for higher professional education. And one of my lessons I used to teach was knowledge engineering for the degree, for the Sunderland degree in computing. And I also did the database design for the same course. And our students were struggling around that big question of how do I write an essay? How do I start? How do I put it down, pick it up, and things along those lines? Now, if you're inexperienced at writing essays, you probably got all of this subconsciously in your mind. But if you're starting off, so I used to take my students through this process that I'd worked out, which I've explained to your colleagues, to our colleagues. And they then requested me to write the book. Now, the only trouble is it's 8 pages long. So you can actually read everything about it on Amazon, and it's structure of an essay. And one of the comments I had back, it actually has its own Facebook page of 6,500 followers. One of the people, feedback was, this is so short, it could do with more. And I find that as a fantastic comment, because it's supposed to be short. It's supposed to be something that you can pick up and you can use. So from my point of view, it achieved what it did. And I had the great pleasure of presenting elements of that to the Infotech.
Moving into the exciting part now. I know I met you a few days ago, rushing out of the building about 5 o'clock to go for a play. Can you tell us what you do outside GBS? Your hobbies? What do you do?
I do a number of things, but again, if we go back, my daughter is a very accomplished prancer and dancer. And my boys play football and cricket. Now, I understood football and cricket. I know what that pressure feels like, but I had no idea what it was like to be on the stage. That is an entirely different pressure. So I wrote about 5-6 years ago now to the local performance team and said, look, I cannot dance. I cannot sing. I'm quite happy to sweep the floor. The last time I was on the stage was at 18. Can I just come along and learn? I wanted to understand more about what my daughter did. So he said, turn up January the 12th. So I turned up January the 12th, and I found myself doing a chorus line as my first show. Yes. Now, I still do the performance. And what I find is that it's so far out of my normal comfort zone that it is there's no excuse. You say, okay, I'm going to put myself in there. Your well-being doesn't depend on it, but you put yourself outside your comfort zone to learn from an experience from others so that you can improve yourself. So yeah, I do musical theatre outside. I have the great pleasure actually coming up. I will do a performance in the West End, so I'll be able to match my daughter. It'll be one night only, but it'll be a combination of what we do. And I'm very, very fortunate to be allowed on the same stage as people who are ex-professional dancers who come from the top performing arts schools. And we just have a ball. I have the best view in the house. So it gives me an opportunity to go somewhere where you cannot think about anything else. So therefore, it almost detoxes the brain for that period of time, gives you an area of realization. And then you can come in and you're kind of fresh for the next day's challenge.
That seems so exciting. And finally, Patrick, can you describe yourself in 3 words?
I think number 1,
yes,
inquisitive. Number 2, approachable.
Oh, I like that.
And number 3, thespian, although bad.
Can I just say, Patrick, thank you for all you do here at GBS.
You're welcome.
It's been great to have you here today.
Thank you.